hush fell over the bingo hall. Mrs. Rabinowitz had just put her granddaughter up for auction. She was 32 years old, just finished her MBA, and according to her grandmother, was in desperate need of a husband. Mrs. Cooper Smith's son, the dentist, was in the running. But my cousin stood up and cut off all conversation. "Forget those Meshuggahs," she said. "I've got a boy for you." She knew that she had a 3-word phrase that would end the debate completely. "I've got a boy for you," she repeated, "and he's a single Jewish lawyer." Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and anyone who's ever been set up by a relative who didn't quite get you. I am so much more than just a single Jewish lawyer, especially because I gave up my law practice almost a decade ago. I like karaoke and riding my bike, and I'm a big Yankees fan. I love Mediterranean food and action movies, and yes, an occasional chick flick. Don't tell anyone. And I'm a good son and a good brother. And if someone looks at me and all they see is a single Jewish lawyer, well, they just need to look harder. My mom is 71 years old. She was widowed 25 years ago. She raised 3 sons on her own, 2 of whom were developmentally disabled, and the third was, well, a handful of times. She also took care of my grandmother and my grandfather, who lived to be 100 years old. And when I look at her, I see someone who's so dedicated to her children and her parents that she spent her entire life so far caring for others. She's a modern-day superwoman, and that's actually what a lot of my friends call her. But she's so much more than that. She likes trashy romance novels and ice skating, and she never misses the Olympics. She collects dolls, which kind of creep me out. And she thinks that anything old is an antique. And when she was young, she had hopes and dreams and aspirations. And I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know what any of them were. She's been standing right in front of me my entire life. I've seen her a zillion times. But I've never taken the time to look harder. My dad passed away when I was 16 years old. And I thought I knew him pretty well at the time. I mean, he was a pretty basic guy. He was extremely overweight. He never took care of his health. He didn't really have any hobbies. Basically all about his family. But he did love classic movies. Casablanca, Dr. Zhivago, which made it all the more surprising when he asked me to go with him to see a new release, The Breakfast Club. It was 1985. And this movie about a bunch of high school students stuck in detention together was the last thing that a 14-year-old wanted to go see with his dad. Dad, I don't know if that movie's really for you, I said, hoping that he would change his mind or rescind the offer. What do you think, I'm square? He said. I kind of thought the question answered itself. We never did end up seeing The Breakfast Club. In fact, we stayed home and we rented Superman instead, which was ironic because it was always my mother who I had seen as the heroic one. But when I look back at my dad, and I think about the fact that he put his family in front of everything, including himself, I realize that maybe he was a Superman in his own right. And I never really took the time to notice it. Back when I had the chance, I should have looked harder. We see people all day long. At home, at work, in transit, here at a Toastmasters meeting. And granted, not everyone warrants a harder look. But a lot of people do. It's easy to see the superficial stuff. takes a lot more effort to see what's on the inside. How many loved ones in our life do we not know as well as we should? Or how many potential loved ones have we missed out on? As I get ready for my date with Mrs. Rabinowitz's granddaughter, I remind myself that I should take the time and look harder. Maybe she's more than just a 32-year-old MBA. And as I look in the mirror, I think about my superwoman mom and my heroic dad, and I think that Mrs. Rabinowitz's granddaughter should look harder. And she might realize that she's sitting across from more than just a single Jewish lawyer. If she looks hard enough, she might realize that she's sitting across from a truly Superman.